The alien envoy Threxel stepped onto Earth with peaceful intentions. His skin was pale blue, his eyes large and silver like moons. His people, the Zelther, were known across the stars as diplomats, not fighters. For thousands of years they had avoided wars by talking, sharing, and building trust. Threxel believed humans were the same. When the Council on his planet sent him to Earth, he was excited. Earth was still young in space travel, but stories of their creativity, strength, and adaptability had spread across the galaxy. Threxel thought, this will be an easy mission. A new friendship for the Zelther. But from the first step, something felt wrong. The human officials welcomed him with smiles. They offered him grand halls to stay in, food prepared specially for his biology, and translators who worked quickly to bridge the language gap. But still, there were soldiers everywhere. Every hallway had men and women in dark uniforms, quiet, watchful. Their weapons didn't just hang idly, they were ready, like they expected danger at any moment. At first, Threxel told himself, this is just how humans show security. But then came the whispers. When Threxel sat with the human diplomats, he heard one of them joke, at least he's smart enough to behave. We don't want another incident. Threxel pretended not to hear, but his curiosity grew. What incident? What was there to fear? Late one night, unable to sleep, Threxel wandered the human base where he was kept as an honored guest. He was escorted during the day, but now the halls were empty. Or so he thought. As he wandered, Threxel heard a low humming sound, like engines powering up. A door stood slightly open down the hall, with bright blue light spilling through. His curiosity overpowered his caution. He crept closer, peeking through the gap. Inside was a vast open field, not a real field, but a training simulation, the walls projecting scenery of desert and mountains. At the center stood a machine. No, a drone, tall and sleek, floating. Silently, humans stood by with control panels. Then the test began. A fortress projection appeared. Thick walls, steel towers, simulated guards with plasma rifles. The humans activated the drone. In a flash, the drone shot forward, faster than Threxel's eyes could follow. A single blast blew energy, tore through the walls as if they were made of paper. The towers crumbled. The simulation ended in under 15 seconds. Threxel's knees weakened. He grabbed the doorframe to stay standing. What kind of weapon was that? Even the Zelther's finest couldn't build something so fast and powerful. But the humans weren't done. Another test began. This time, the fortress was underground, shielded with layers of protection. The drone adapted. It launched a small sphere that burrowed through the ground. Moments later, the simulation above exploded. The fortress was gone. No sound, just light. Then nothing. Threxel's heart pounded in his chest. Humans smiled, casually discussing improvements. Only took 20 seconds this time. Let's reduce that to 10. Threxel backed away silently, his mind racing. What have I stepped into? Back in his quarters, he tried to rest, but the images of destruction haunted him. His people never built weapons like that. They didn't need to. Wars were for primitives. But these humans, they weren't primitive at all. The next morning, Threxel looked around with new eyes. The smiling faces of human leaders seemed colder now. The soldier's presence made sense, not for his protection, but as a warning. He remembered the joke. He heard, "We don't want another incident." What incident? Did someone challenge humans before, and if so, what happened to them? Threxel decided to ask his assistant, a younger Zelther named Pren, who had been gathering information. Quietly, when he told Pren what he saw, the young alien looked pale. Pren whispered, "They have more, Threxel. Much more. The weapons you saw, they're old technology. The real ones are hidden. They have bombs that can destroy cities. Weapons that poison planets. I've seen reports." Earth itself is prepared like a weapon. Threxel stared at Pren, unable to speak. A chill ran down his spine. His mission was to build peace. But now he understood something deeper. Humans were peaceful. Because they chose to be. But if that choice ever changed, no species in the galaxy could stand against them. Threxel sat silently for hours, feeling the weight of this truth. He had to report back to his people. But how could he explain this? That the most dangerous species in the galaxy hides their strength beneath smiles? He looked out the window, watching the blue sky of Earth, and whispered to himself, "We thought they were just clever apes. But they are predators pretending to be polite." And for the first time in his life, Threxel felt afraid. Threxel couldn't shake the images from his mind. The human drone, the ease with which it destroyed an entire fortress, and the cold, efficient smiles of the human operators. But what haunted him more was Pren's whispered words. Earth itself is a weapon. That phrase echoed like a warning bell in his head. Threxel needed to know more. He wasn't just an envoy anymore. He felt like a spy caught in the middle of a lion's den. The next day, Threxel requested a guided tour of Earth's military facilities. Officially, it was under the pretense of cultural exchange, to understand human defense for peaceful reasons. The humans agreed with polite smiles, but their eyes watched him closely. They took him to a military museum first. Inside, Threxel saw old machines, tanks, jets, missiles, all outdated compared to what he saw last night. But each machine told a terrifying story. There were wars where millions died, weapons that could reduce cities to dust, and bombs that poisoned the air, ground, and water. Yet these were primitive tools compared to what humans had now. A female officer guiding Threxel noticed his silent horror and said lightly, "Don't worry, envoy. These are relics. We've improved since then." Threxel smiled weakly, but his stomach twisted. If these brutal weapons were just history, what monsters had humans built for today? Later, Pren met him secretly and handed him a stolen data chip. "I took this from one of their junior officers' terminals. You need to see it." Threxel loaded the chip into his translator pad. A secret document appeared, diagrams, test results, weapon blueprints. And something worse, human strategies. They didn't just build weapons. They built plans to collapse entire civilizations without firing a shot. Psychological warfare, economic sabotage, targeted biological agents designed to destroy food supplies on alien worlds. All methods designed to win wars before battles even start. Threxel's hands trembled. "They've planned for everything," he whispered. "Even peace is part of their war plan." One section caught his eye, Operation Black Silence. It was a plan to quietly eliminate an entire species' leadership in a single coordinated night strike. No sound, no war declaration, just silence. "They think of everything," Threxel murmured in disbelief. "Every weakness, every fear, every angle. We're children compared to them." Suddenly, Pren grabbed Threxel's arm, fear on his face. "There's more. I heard the humans talk about a new project. Something called the Quiet Engine. They say it's not a weapon, but it can move planets." Threxel stared, shocked. Move planets? What species would even think of that? Were they making weapons or playing gods? That night, unable to rest, Threxel watched Earth's night sky through his window. The stars looked peaceful, but now he knew the truth. Peace on Earth wasn't because humans were gentle. It was because they were too strong to challenge. Threxel began recording a private message to his homeworld, his voice low and heavy. "To the Zelther Council, Earth is not a simple world. It is a weaponized planet. Every human mind is trained for survival, and their technology is beyond what we imagined. I advise absolute caution. If we ever force them to fight, it won't be a war. It will be our extinction." As he finished the message, he caught his reflection in the glass, his blue skin pale, his silver eyes wide with fear. For the first time in his diplomatic career, Threxel realized he wasn't on a mission of peace. He was walking through a planet-sized armory where the weapons smiled and said welcome, and deep down, he wondered, if this is what they show us, what horrors are they still hiding? Threxel sat alone in his room, the lights dimmed, the air thick with unease. The stars above Earth sparkled through the transparent ceiling, but he no longer found them beautiful. He had seen weapons. He had seen blueprints of destruction. But now he wanted to understand how humanity became this way. What made a species build weapons that could tear open planets? Why did they think of war even in peace? Threxel accessed Earth's open archives, public history files available to all visitors. It started like any research project, timelines, maps, early civilization notes. But as he dug deeper, the calm cracked. His screen showed grainy footage, black and white images of men in uniforms marching. Then bombs falling, cities turned into firestorms, smoke covering the sky, children crying. Entire generations erased in wars that lasted for years. He read the names. World War I, World War II, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Each word was like a knife to his chest. The Zelther had records of planetary disputes, but nothing like this. Not wars of this scale, this savagery. Threxel watched videos where humans built death camps to systematically kill millions. He read about battles where soldiers drowned in mud and gas, and civilians were burned alive in their homes, he thought. He was prepared for violence. He wasn't. Threxel whispered, "This isn't war, ... This is madness." And then he reached the 21st century files, the modern era. At first, he hoped humanity had evolved. But no. The wars just changed shape. They became faster, cleaner, deadlier. Drones flying across borders, striking targets before the victims even knew they were marked. Cyber wars that shut down entire cities without a single bullet fired. Biological agents tested in labs, ready to be released if needed. And worst of all, humanity had fought themselves. Again and again. No alien invasion, no outside threat. Just humans against humans, endlessly. His breath grew shallow. If they treat their own like this, what would they do to us? He found an old speech, a human general addressing his people. The words were calm, proud. Peace is what we desire. But never mistake our mercy for weakness. If threatened, we will end the war before the first shot is fired. We are the storm, not the warning. Threxel stared at the screen, frozen. End the war before it begins. The humans didn't just want to win. They wanted to erase the possibility of resistance. He paused the video and looked around the silent room. Then a realization struck him like thunder. The humans weren't dangerous because they loved war. They were dangerous because they hated it, because when pushed into violence, they made sure they never had to fight again. He opened a hidden channel and called Pren. "Are you awake?" he asked, voice shaking. Pren's voice came through, groggy. "Yes, Threxel. They don't fight for victory," Threxel whispered. "They fight for dominance. They don't want to defeat an enemy. They want to make sure the enemy can never stand again." Silence. Then Pren said, "You sound scared." "I am," Threxel admitted. "We thought Earth was a wild, young planet, but it's a graveyard of civilizations, most of them ... their own." He closed the files. His hands were cold. Tomorrow, he was scheduled to meet a high-ranking human general, but now he feared what that man might say, or what he might smile and choose not to say. Because the scariest part of all was this: the humans had survived all of it. The wars, the destruction, the hate. They had walked through the fire ... and come out smiling. What kind of species could do that? Only one. A species that doesn't fear war, because they've already lived through hell. Threxel had met many military leaders in his lifetime, some loud, Some boastful, others calm and disciplined. But when he stood before General Voss, he felt something he had never felt before, cold certainty. General Voss wasn't large or imposing. He was an older human with silver-streaked hair, neat in his uniform, eyes sharp like blades honed over decades. His face was unreadable, like stone weathered by endless storms. They met in a private office deep within the Earth's Defense Command. No cameras, no aides. Just the envoy and the general. Threxel spoke first, voice careful. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me, General." Voss nodded once. "Of course, Envoy Threxel. I imagine you've seen enough to have questions." Threxel hesitated. Then, risking offense, he asked, "Why do you build such terrible weapons? Why prepare to destroy when peace is an option?" For a long moment, the general said nothing. He simply stared at Threxel with those calculating eyes. Then, slowly he leaned forward. "Let me tell you something about my species." "Envoy," Voss said, his voice low and steady. "We don't like war. We hate it, in fact. It's ugly, wasteful, but we hate losing more." Threxel blinked. The statement was simple, but it chilled him. Voss continued, "Humans don't fight to win. We fight to finish. When someone threatens us, we don't aim to outlast them. We make sure they'll never lift a weapon again. That's how we survived ourselves. That's how we survived this brutal little world." The general stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the military compound below. "Earth is a war-forged world, Envoy. Our storms can drown cities. Our beasts can kill with tooth and claw. And yet, the deadliest thing on this planet has always been us." He turned back, eyes sharp. "We learn from nature. Predators don't win by being fair. They win by being lethal." Threxel's mouth felt dry. But you have peace now. You're not fighting anymore." Voss smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Peace? No, Envoy. This is the pause between wars. We stay ready because peace is fragile. Weakness invites chaos." He walked closer to Threxel and spoke quietly. "You asked why we build terrible weapons. Because we can. Because if we don't, someone else will. And when that day comes, we'll be prepared to erase them. Understand that word, Envoy. Not defeat, not negotiate, erase." Threxel's pulse raced. He came here to build alliances. But now he saw the truth. Earth didn't need alliances. Earth didn't fear war. It feared not being prepared for it. Then, Voss added one more thing. "And one more truth, Threxel. We never show everything we have. You've seen our museums, our drones, our soldiers. But that's not the real power." Threxel asked, voice trembling, "Then what is your real power?" Voss smiled, a cold, knowing smile. "Our minds, our will. You can build weapons, Envoy. But it's the mind behind the trigger that decides how far you'll go, and humans... will go further than anyone else." The room felt colder, heavier. Threxel stood, legs unsteady, and bowed politely. "Thank you for your honesty, General." As he turned to leave, Voss's final words followed him. "Remember this, Envoy. The only reason Earth is peaceful is because we choose to be. But if that choice ever changes," he paused, "there won't be a second day of war, only silence." Threxel stepped into the hallway, heart pounding. He came seeking peace, but now he knew. Peace on Earth wasn't a gift, it was a warning. Threxel left General Voss's office, but the general's final words echoed in his mind. If that choice ever changes, there won't be a second day of war, only silence. What could possibly give a species such confidence? What hidden power did humans still conceal? Threxel needed to know. He couldn't leave Earth without understanding their true weapon. The next morning, to his surprise, the general himself sent an invitation. "Meet me at the Blackridge facility. There's one last thing you should see before you depart." The message was short, but it was clear. This was no formal tour. This was something private. Threxel and Pren were escorted to a quiet, secure installation far from the cities. Surrounded by forest, shadowed by thick clouds. No soldiers marched here, no giant machine stood guard. Yet Threxel sensed danger in the air, like the ground itself was watching. Inside, the hallways were clean, sterile. No weapons on the walls. No war banners. Just quiet footsteps echoing against cold steel. Finally, they entered a bright chamber, where a child sat alone at a table, eyes focused on a screen. Threxel blinked, confused. A child? The boy looked no more than 10, human, small, and ordinary. Playing what seemed to be a simulation game, he turned to the general, puzzled. General, what is this? Voss folded his arms, eyes cold. Watch. On the screen, the simulation began. An alien fleet, advanced and ruthless, invaded Earth space. The scenario was designed for failure. Any species would lose. But the child's eyes stayed sharp. His fingers moved across the interface with unnatural speed, but his face remained emotionless. Within seconds, the child had reprogrammed defense satellites, hijacked enemy signals, and launched counterattacks so precise that entire alien fleets vanished before they even realized they were under attack. The timer? 42 seconds. The simulation ended. Earth remained untouched. The invaders gone. The child stood, yawned, and looked at the general. Do it again, or can I have a snack now? The general chuckled. Snack time, good work. The child left. Humming a tune. Threxel stood frozen. What was that? He whispered. General Voss smiled faintly. That envoy is our real weapon. Not missiles, not drones, it's our mind. Our instinct to win, no matter the odds. We breed it, we teach it young, and when needed, we unleash it. Pren's voice shook. But he's just a child, Voss nodded. Yes, and he beat an alien warfleet in under a minute. Imagine what a trained adult can do. Imagine what an army of minds like his could accomplish. Threxel felt his knees weaken. He had studied military doctrines, weapons of mass destruction. But this this was worse. Because it wasn't a machine. It was the human mind, sharp, ruthless, endlessly creative. The general walked closer to Threxel and whispered, You can destroy a machine. You can disable a bomb. But how do you defeat a mind that sees your every weakness before you even know it's there? Threxel's mouth went dry. Voss finished. Our real weapon, envoy, is simple. It's the fact that no matter who you are, no matter how powerful your armies, you'll never want to find out what happens when humans stop holding back. Threxel stared at the door where the child had left, humming casually. He finally understood. It wasn't their ships. It wasn't their bombs. It was their children, their future, already shaped to be masters of war if ever needed. And that was a power no civilization in the galaxy could match. Asterisk. The journey back to the alien embassy was silent. Threxel sat stiffly in the transport, eyes blank, mind racing. Beside him, Pren whispered, Are we still here for peace, Threxel? Threxel didn't answer. He was thinking of the human child. The ease with which the boy destroyed an entire simulated fleet. The calm smile of General Voss. The quiet confidence in their threats. And yet, the humans never boasted. They never declared their power loudly across the stars. That silence, it terrified Threxel the most. By the time they reached their private chamber, Threxel had made up his mind. He called Pren close. Prepare a deep transmission, not to the council, not just to Zelther, to all listening stations across the sectors. Open frequencies, encrypted, shadowed, I don't care. Every species must hear this. Pren looked shocked. But such a warning could cause panic. And if the humans find out, they'll know we listened. They'll know we understood, Threxel said. And that's the only thing keeping us alive. Pren hesitated, but nodded, activating the transmitter. Threxel stood before the console, eyes burning with urgency, and began his message. This is Envoy Threxel of the Zelther Union. To any species, any government, any civilization that hears this, listen well. Earth is not what it seems. They are not peaceful because they are weak. They are peaceful because they are merciful. If we ever push them, if we ever provoke their wrath, there will be no war. There will be no surrender. There will only be extinction. His voice trembled, but he kept going. They have minds sharper than any blade. Their children train for war without knowing it. Their leaders smile, but behind those smiles are strategies to end species like we swat insects. Pren glanced at Threxel, his own hand shaking. This is not diplomacy. This is a warning. Leave Earth alone. Respect their peace. Because the day they choose to stop being peaceful, that day will be the galaxy's funeral. Threxel ended the transmission. The silence afterward was heavier than space itself. Pren sat down slowly. Do you think they'll listen? Threxel stared out the window, looking at Earth blue and green, beautiful and calm. They'll listen. Or they'll disappear. Hours later, the transmission rippled across the stars, a ghostly message hopping from system to system. Empires that once dreamed of invading Earth quietly deleted their plans. War councils erased Earth's name from their charts. Curious species reclassified humanity with one terrifying title: Do not engage. Meanwhile on Earth, the humans carried on, farming, building, exploring the stars. But up there beyond the sky, the galaxy watched ... and remembered ... because now they knew the truth. Peace with humans isn't a gift. It's the last mercy you'll ever get. In the months after Threxel's transmission, the galaxy grew quieter. No official announcements, no grand declarations. But in the shadows of every star empire, war councils changed their maps. Every chart of known space now carried a silent mark on Earth: do not provoke, do not engage. There were species, of course, who didn't believe the message. Some laughed. A backwater planet, full of soft creatures and chaotic governments? How dangerous could they be? But when scouts were sent, they didn't return. When spies infiltrated Earth, they vanished without a trace. No bodies, no signals, no clues. As if the planet had simply swallowed them whole. The smart ones understood. Earth didn't need to fight wars. They just needed to remind you. You wouldn't survive trying. Far from Earth, in the dark chambers of ancient empires, leaders whispered of the silent power, the species that did not brag, did not threaten, did not march, yet everyone was afraid of them. The galaxy began to adjust itself quietly. Trade routes bent around Earth's territories. Diplomatic missions to humans were painfully polite. Even the most arrogant warlords refused to say Earth's name aloud, as if even speaking it might wake the monster. And Earth remained peaceful. Their people lived normal lives, farming, inventing, dreaming of the stars. Humanity didn't know how many invasions had been canceled. They didn't know how many eyes watched from the dark, choosing silence over a first strike. General Vos knew. So did the hidden councils. And whenever someone asked, "Why don't we show the galaxy our strength?" Vos would simply reply, "Because they already know." And that's enough. Threxel returned to his homeworld, changed. His council demanded reports, strategies, details on how to negotiate. But he gave them only one piece of advice: treat Earth like you would treat a sleeping god. Respect them, leave them alone. Because if they ever wake in anger, the stars will go dark. And so the galaxy lived on, peaceful but alert. Always watching Earth, always remembering, it's not the loudest empire you fear. It's the one that never needed to roar. And that is why in the deep void of space ... where wars often spark over whispers ... There was a strange, unspoken truth. No one starts a war with Earth because it would be too easy for them to win.